Welcome to our Clean With Me podcast. This is the bedroom edition. My name is Melissa Maker, host of the Clean My Space channel on YouTube. And today I'm your personal cleaning coach. I'm going to get you through cleaning your bedroom, whether it's your bedroom or someone else's bedroom. There is a routine and a specific order of techniques that we are going to employ to make sure that you can clean this bedroom, whichever one you're in, quickly and efficiently using the Clean My Space 3-wave system. Now, we do have some other podcasts of this style available. The idea here is that I am like your cleaning coach, your cleaning motivator. I am going to walk you through how to clean any room that you need step by step. I'll be there right in your ear. I'm going to talk you through it. I'm going to support you. And throughout this, I'm also going to share some funny cleaning stories as it relates to the bedroom. So I'll usually go on Reddit or Quora and pull up some funny stories just to give you a little bit of ear candy to listen to while you're doing some of the longer tasks. You can, of course, skip ahead if you don't want to hear that part. And I'm going to make this run a little bit long in case you have a lot of cleaning to do in your bedroom, but you can skip ahead. We have everything sort of categorized for you in the description or in the notes of this particular podcast. So you can just jump right to where you need to go. The idea is that you can listen to this anytime or every time you have to clean your room. And that's how we design all of these podcasts. I'm just here to help you through it so you can listen to this as many times as you need. This is especially helpful if you need some motivation. Now, if you haven't checked out my book, also called Clean My Space, this is where a lot of this is coming from. So if you want more information like this and you love to read, you might really enjoy checking out the book. Now, if you're curious about the Clean My Space 3-wave system, I will also give you some information to that in the description down below.
And just a quick reminder, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe to the Clean My Space channel. And by the way, this video is brought to you by Makers Clean. You can check it out at makersclean.com or makersclean.ca. It's our sister company where we sell premium microfiber cleaning tools and more.
Okay, so the way that we always start off by cleaning any space is to organize our products and our tools ahead of time and to make sure that we have everything ready to go so that once we're here in the room, we don't have to run out because that just wastes time and it's very inefficient. So we're going to hunt, we're going to gather, we're going to get all the things we need and be nice and prepared. We also kind of think through techniques in case there's anything that we need to do that's going to require a little bit of dwell time or wait time or anything that we sort of have to think ahead on. So whenever we begin a room, we always think about products, tools, and techniques, or in Clean My Space lingo, PTTs. So let's cover off some of the products that we're going to need for bedroom. Now, this is just general. If you have something specific like an aquarium in your bedroom, you might need a specialty type of cleaner. This is just for a basic bedroom cleaning. So when it comes to products, we're going to make sure that we have an all-purpose cleaner with us. I have a lot of DIY recipes. The one I love is just 2 cups of water and a half teaspoon of dish soap. That's what I use to clean a lot of my house. You also need glass cleaner, assuming you have windows and or a mirror in your room. And you can also opt for some disinfectant if that's something that you care to use. Really a good idea if someone's been sick recently. Otherwise, I'm not hugely interested in disinfecting all my spaces all the time. All right, now let's get into some of the tools. This isn't exactly a tool, but it's a thing you're going to need, and that is fresh sheets or bedding if you're going to be changing your bedding over. You'll need a garbage bag and a recycling bin or a recycling bag because we're going to be doing some tidying. A high dusting tool if you plan on tackling some of the corners, the high corners in your room. Some general purpose microfiber cloths to do your dusting and your cleaning. You're going to need a flat weave microfiber cloth to tackle any of the windows or glass, a vacuum, as well as a mop and bucket or a spray bottle and a flathead mop, depending on the type of floors you have. You might also want to grab a step ladder, and you may also need a laundry hamper. The only thing that I would recommend to consider when it comes to techniques is stripping your bed and laundering your sheets in advance of cleaning your room, or you can do this right now. And then once your load of laundry is done, you then just have to remember to go and make up your bed afterward. So getting right into wave 1, this is the first ring around the room that we do. We always start at the door and we work our way clockwise around the space, breaking this space up into hours and working our way from the top to the bottom of each hour chunk in the room. And what this does is it gives us a very reliable method to get through the entire space efficiently so that we are not missing anything. Now, of course, if you have the bed in the center of the room, you're not going to do the bed 12 different times. You're going to just pick a time, deal with the bed, and move on. But this avoids someone running from this corner to this corner and seeing something over here and then going back there. It really just gives you a method to stick to. So the first thing we're going to start with actually is just making the bed, whether it means stripping the bed and throwing the sheets in the laundry, or taking your used sheets off the bed, putting those in a laundry hamper, and then changing the bed over to, put on fresh pillowcases, a fresh fitted sheet, fresh flat sheet, and a fresh duvet or duvet cover, if that's something you would like to do. Now, making your bed, changing your sheets is something that is contentious. A lot of people have different opinions about how frequently this should be done. And I'm just going to give you my opinion based on a lot of research and years in this field. So if we think about clothing, we wear our clothes, and the closer your clothes are to your body, the easier it is for them to become soiled, the quicker it is for them to become soiled. I want you to think of bed sheets like clothes. I'm wearing this tank top, and then I'm also wearing this bulky sweater. This tank top is sitting directly on my body, and this bulky sweater is a little bit looser. And then, of course, I have a bra on. So theoretically, the bra is the closest to my body. I would want to launder that very regularly. Same with the tank top. But this sweater, this is something that isn't as close to my body, technically speaking, because I have one or two layers sort of protecting this sweater from the rest of my body and sweating. And the same thing kind of goes for sheets. We kind of have to think of them like another layer of clothes. Now, some people don't sleep with any clothes on. Some people sleep with a full set of pajamas. Some people sleep with, just a t-shirt, whatever the case may be, however you sleep, you have to think of your bed sheets like clothes. And that's because you sweat, you shed dead skin cells, body oils. If your pets sleep in that bed with you, there's dander on the bed. All kinds of things get absorbed into those sheets. And when those things sit in the fabric, they can oxidize, which means they can darken. It also sort of leads to odor-causing bacteria starting to build up. It's sort of like sleeping in dirty clothes for a week or 2 weeks. And if you walk into your room and you notice that stuffy smell, that's very likely because your bed sheets need to be changed. So when it comes to frequency, if you're a sweaty sleeper or you sleep without any clothes on, you would want to consider changing your sheets once a week. If not, you can push it to once every 2 weeks, but I would say that is the max of the max. All right, now when it comes to changing your fitted sheets, I would say this is the most annoying job. You want to leave that mattress protector on your mattress. And then what I like to do is put the fitted sheet in the middle or the center of the bed. And then I just reach around and I go corner by corner. Now, this part I do find annoying sometimes because you might not get the corners as even as possible. And then it's really hard to get that fourth corner to the finish line. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you line up the seam of the corner pocket as best you can on that first corner. And then I like to kind of go to, the corner beside it. That sort of makes it easy. And then you can pull up on one end and up on the other end. You just want to work as evenly as possible so that you're not playing tug of war with that fitted sheet after. You can also flip your flat sheet on the inside if it has a pattern or a print. So you want to put it upside down. That way, when you tuck the top over, you actually have the pattern showing instead of the reverse. But again, that's if you make your bed up with the flat sheet peeking out. If the flat sheet is just sitting underneath the duvet cover, you don't have to worry about doing that. You can also do hospital corners here if you want. Hospital corners essentially mean that you tuck the flat sheet end right into the bottom of the mattress, and then you have the two side pieces hanging out over. Then you just go over to one side and sort of tuck that in. It sort of looks like the edge of a gift wrap. And then you go over and you do the same thing on the other side. It's a nice, neat way to make a bed. It does take a little bit of extra work, but it does look really good. Then you can just fluff up your pillows and design your bed as you wish. This one over here has a couple of really nice throw pillows, and the regular pillow and the sham are just lying flat. The throw pillows are sort of leaning up against that. And I think that's a really nice, clean look. All right, now we're going to continue on with wave one, and we're going to tidy the bedroom. So what this means is you're going to start at the 12 o'clock spot, which is the door of the bedroom, and you are going to work your way around the room, top to bottom, looking for garbage, recycling, anything that doesn't belong in there, pieces of laundry, items that have homes in other parts of the house that for some reason made it to your bedroom. Anything like this is either going to go in a garbage, recycling bin, or it's going to go into an area like the outside of the door where it will have to be rehomed after the cleaning. Now, if you have laundry, this is a really good time to get that laundry hamper active and to take all of the rogue pieces of laundry, whether they're on the floor, the chair, or draped on a piece of furniture, and just throw them in the hamper. Now, while you're doing this, it's also important just to take a moment to straighten everything out. So, what this means is you're not doing any cleaning, but you're just sort of setting the stage. You're sort of lightly organizing surfaces because, as I've talked about many times before, it's really hard to clean a cluttered and disorganized space. So, if you can take a few minutes to sort of as you're going around doing your wave, neatening up any of the surfaces. So lining items up parallel or perpendicular to the edge of a piece of furniture, it's going to look much better. And it's also going to be easier because when you go around in wave two and you're cleaning, you can just lift off that beautiful stack, put it on the floor, do your cleaning, and replace that beautiful stack without having to think much more about it. So while you're working on wave one, I'm going to read you a funny cleaning story. And this one I thought was so clever. This is about the tooth fairy and a letter from the tooth fairy to a very messy daughter. And it's addressed to a little girl whose name was blacked out, but I am going to read you who this is from. The Office of the Tooth Fairy, 100 Castle Lane, Fairyland. And the letter reads, I apologize for the delay in retrieving your teeth. As you are getting older and older, this girl, by the way, is 10. You have fewer and fewer baby teeth to lose, so I am sure each one is important to you. Now, with that said, I must be frank. The state of your room prevented us from performing a midnight retrieval. The first attempt almost resulted in tragedy as one of our agent's shoes got stuck on something icky on the floor. While attempting to free herself, a pile of socks tipped over and she nearly suffocated. All the commotion alerted a large yellow dog, and our agent had to abort the mission. Attempt number 2 went even worse than that, with our agent tripping upon entry and spraining her left dorsal wing. Luckily, the large yellow dog was snoring and did not hear the fall. With these events in mind, we were forced to perform a very rare daytime retrieval, which, as you can see, was a success, but in most cases is not desired. Since it's the nature of tooth fairies to operate at night, moonlight sustains us. Diurnal, in brackets daytime, tooth fairies are a grumpy sort and protest most tasks, even those tasks that they were literally named after. Your diurnal tooth fairy was Greta, and due to performing a midday retrieval, opted to pay your fee in change. We do hope this exchange can be performed in the usual manner the next time you have teeth to get rid of. We also know that you have a choice when it comes to tooth disposal, and we appreciate the opportunity to meet this need. Kind regards, the Tooth Fairy. I thought that was so funny and so clever. All right. So my hope is that you have worked your way through wave number 1. Now, if you haven't finished wave 1, don't feel bad. I'm going to read you a really funny poem. But if you have finished wave 1, you can skip ahead to wave 2. This poem is by Shel Silverstein, who is a very well-known author and poet. I grew up reading his stuff, and this is a very, very funny poem. All right. Whosever room this is should be ashamed. His underwear is hanging on the lamp. His raincoat is there in the overstuffed chair, and the chair is becoming quite mucky and damp. His workbook is wedged in the window. His sweater's been thrown on the floor. His scarf and one ski are beneath the TV, and his pants have been carelessly hung on the door. His books are all jammed in the closet. His vest has been left in the hall. A lizard named Ed sleeps in his bed, and his smelly old sock has been stuck to the wall. Whosever room this is should be ashamed. Donald or Robert or Willie or, huh? You say it's mine? Oh dear, I knew it looked familiar. I I think that's so cute. All right, let's get on to wave number 2, because now you've done all the work that's needed for wave number 1. You've tidied, you've organized, you've gotten rid of all the garbage, all the clothes on the floor. So you have primed the space for the actual cleaning to take place. So now we're going to go right back to the entry or the 12 o'clock spot of our room. And we are going to get our products and tools ready that we have previously gathered. You can pop those right at the door or in the center of the room if that makes it a little bit easier for you so that you're not running back and forth. And we're going to get going. Now, the first thing I like to do if I'm doing it during a cleaning is high dusting, because you're obviously not going to do that at 12 o'clock. You can also throw low dusting in there as well if you want. And you can use a similar tool. You can either use an extendable duster, something like a Maker's Mop, or you can use just the end of a mop pole with a microfiber cloth thrown on top and secured with an elastic band. And what you can do, you're going to start at one corner of the room and work your way all the way around, just holding this pole up and just working your way around the corners, looking for cobwebs. You can work your way around light fixtures as well. You want to make sure that your light fixtures are turned off while you're doing this. And then you can do another pass around the room by just flipping that pole upside down and doing the same thing for baseboards. Now, when you vacuum, you might want to retouch those baseboards if you notice that they're quite dusty. Otherwise, you can just quickly do this. And this is just a quick zip around the room before you actually get on with your cleaning. Now we're going to get on to the cleaning and dusting. We're going to start back at that 12 o'clock point. We're going to work section by section. I like to have my all-purpose cleaner in one hand and a microfiber cloth in the other hand. I start at my 12 o'clock and I start looking up and down. I do this yes movement. All right. Yes to cleaning. Let's say yes to cleaning. And I look up, I look for scuffs, I look for dirt, for dust, for anything that's out of place. If I come across an item that's sitting on a shelf or a surface, I'm going to pull that item or those sets of items down. I'm going to place them aside. I'm going to dust and wipe those surfaces. So if the surface looks clean, but just has some dust on it, I'll do a dry wipe. If the surface actually looks dirty, I'll spray the surface with some all-purpose cleaner, and then I'll wipe it down using the S pattern in my microfiber cloth. Then I'll go to pick up the items that I put down. I turn my body so I'm not cleaning them over the surface I just cleaned. I kind of wipe them off on the floor, over the floor rather, and then I just replace them onto the surface in a neat and tidy way. I'm going to work my way around the room doing this exact thing. If you approach a mirror, you want to swap out your all-purpose for your glass cleaner and your regular microfiber cloth for a flat weave microfiber cloth. Spray the surface, use the S pattern. You're going to use the S pattern whether it's a vertical or horizontal surface. You can also use the light and sort of angle your body in different positions to make sure that you've gotten all the streaks off the glass. And then you can carry on with your cleaning. Now, if you notice that you have any fingerprints or, streaks or scuffs on your paint, you can also use a tool like a magic eraser just to give that a quick cleaning. If you need something specialty, you can make a mental note of that. It also might be nice next time to just do a quick assessment of the space. And if you notice you have a lot of scuffs and you want to tackle that today, you can bring your magic eraser or tool that you like to use to get scuffs off the wall. And look, you're doing great. You've already got through wave 1. We're now tackling wave 2, and you're doing it. You're really doing it. Your room, I'm sure already is looking and feeling even a little bit better. And that is a big deal. So just keep on keeping on and work your way through wave 2. And I'm going to read you another funny story. This one comes from Terry Henderson. This was from Quora. During high school, I had an aquarium in my bedroom. At one point, one of the smaller fish got eaten by a larger, more aggressive fish that shared the tank. When I left for college, I dismantled the aquarium and moved my dresser, which had previously held the tank, in preparation for taking it with me. What a surprise when I found a small, dried, orange husk of my missing fish behind the dresser. I realized that he hadn't been eaten after all, but merely attempted to escape on his own. Poor little fella, R.I.P. All right, so we'll get back into wave number 2. And this is also the section where you might want to look at areas in your room and think about, is this time for me to mark down or note down in my calendar a bigger project, like a closet reorganization or, reorganizing my drawers, decluttering my drawers, things like that. This is not the time to do that and get distracted by that. You really have to stay on track with the work that you're doing here. It's not time to say, today I'm going to clean under my bed. Today I'm going to clean out my nightstand. No. If you notice that that needs to be done, let's make some time for that in your calendar so that you can do it another day. But I don't want you to get off track because you're doing really good work here already. And if you make specific time to do that task, then you could earmark, say, 30 minutes. You can clean out your nightstands or you can clean out 2 of your drawers, and that project is done. That's how we're going to tackle those bigger things. So I really don't want you to feel overwhelmed. Just focus on the task at hand. And remember, you're doing great. Now, if you have any windows in the room, you can clean them quite similarly to how you clean the mirror. Just spray them down from top to bottom with your glass cleaner. Then you're going to take, I'm facing my window right here because it's so bright. You can take your flat weave microfiber cloth and you can start from the top, work your way to the bottom using the S pattern. This is the best way to clean without getting any streaks. And if you have a really large window, you can consider using a squeegee to do this job, a double-sided squeegee, one with a microfiber pad on one side and with a rubber tip on the other side. It's actually a really quick and easy way to do the job. It's just up to you if you want to bring in the extra tool. Now, you might also have picture frames and artwork in your room. And if you do, the way that you want to tackle this is dry dusting first, because if you use glass cleaner, on a piece of glass for art, you might notice that now all you can see are those specks of dust that have sort of hardened onto the surface. So I always like to dry dust these first. And if you notice that your microfiber cloth is getting a lot of dust stuck in it at this point because you've been doing a lot of cleaning, you can either whack it on the side of your leg and it'll release some of the dust onto the floor, or you can swap it out for a fresh one. If you are going to be doing any dusting of anything that's hung on the wall, you always want to use your non-dominant hand to support one edge while you're doing the cleaning with the other hand. That way you don't have to worry about injury or damage or breaking anything. That is a trick I learned in the cleaning industry. The other thing to think about in a bedroom is points of contact. So as you're working your way around, any points of contact like remote controls, light switches are areas that you want to give a wipe down to. So you can spray your microfiber cloth with some all-purpose cleaner and then just make sure that you're giving that surface a nice quick wipe down. Now, of course, these can be disinfected if somebody was sick and you feel the need to disinfect those surfaces. Otherwise, just give your points of contact a little bit of love, because fingerprints and oils and yucky stuff can build up on there and it just looks and feels gross after a while. So we are just about done wave number 2 at this point. I want you to look around and see how far you have come in these first 2 waves. And you'll notice we haven't been cleaning for that long, and you've probably made some really great strides already. And I love how efficient and effective we're being by having all of our products and tools right where they need to be and going task by task. And this is the thing that I find really comforting about having a system. You have a system, you have a plan of action, you know what you need to do. You don't have to think too hard about it. And it gives you the ability to sort of go on autopilot, but also build your skill. This time you're cleaning your room this way, 3, 4, 5 times from now, you're going to be a lot quicker because you're already going to know what to do. All right, so we're going to move on to wave number 3. Make sure that everything is cleared out of your room from the first 2 waves. So garbage and recycling and laundry bins, you want to make sure, or bags, that stuff is all out of your room so it's not impeding the floor space. You want to make sure that anything from wave 2 products or tools have also made its way out. And wave 3, we focus on floors and emptying the garbage. So anything that's movable, small stools, accessories, baskets, bins, anything that's on the floor at this point, go into the room and move it out. Just move it into the hallway or into another space. So that way you have as much access to the floor as possible, so that when you're cleaning it, you can really get into corners and get under or in areas that you need to get to, because a dusty room makes for a stuffy experience in the room, especially for people with asthma and allergies. It can feel a little bit uncomfortable. So this is, it's really important to get the floors done right. You want to make sure that you're using the appropriate vacuum setting. We always do our dry work before our wet work. So if you have hard floor surfaces, you can finish up by mopping the floor, but you're going to do this after you vacuum or sweep. Now, in a bedroom especially, I don't recommend sweeping because sweeping just kind of kicks dust up, whereas vacuums remove the dust altogether. You want to make sure that your vacuum is empty when you're starting. So if that's not done, take a minute and do that right now. And then you want to make sure that you're using the appropriate vacuum head, the one for hard floor surfaces if you have hard floors, and the one for soft floor surfaces with a brush roll if you have carpets. So now what you'll do is you're going to orient yourself to the opposite corner of the exit point of the room. So let me explain this. You do this because you don't want to vacuum yourself into a corner. You want to vacuum yourself out the door. And you want to do the same thing when you're mopping. So my door is over here. The corner I'm going to orient myself to begin at is right here. Then you're going to start vacuuming. And if I should say, if you plan on vacuuming the baseboards, the time to do it is right now. I sort of like to do the baseboards before I do any of the vacuuming. I suppose it's similar to painting, like where a painter will sort of paint the trim before they do the rest of the walls. It's just easier to get the baseboards out of the way first. So you can go ahead and vacuum with a crevice tool or a small combo brush tool if you want to do the baseboards now. Otherwise, let's orient ourselves to the correct corner and we're going to work section by section in a W pattern. So the W pattern means that we start on a straight line, we pull back on a slightly angled line, we go back forward, we go forward in a straight line, pull back on an angle, forward in a straight, pull back on an angle. And each time you're cutting your work in half. So that way, every area of the floor gets 2 or 3 passes, right? You go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're sort of doubling over your work. In order for a vacuum to be really efficient, it actually has to go over a surface a couple of times. So this makes sure not only are you getting those nice vacuum cut lines in your carpet, but you're also being super efficient. So I would sort of do this section of the room first, then I would do this section, then I would do the back section and vacuum myself out the door. Once that's done, if you have hard floor surfaces, now would be the time to bring in your mop. But just before we do that, I want to remind you, if you have a garbage can in your room, this would be the time to change that garbage can, empty it out or change the bag and then replace it where it needs to go. And now you're going to mop. So if you have a preferred product that you like to use to fill your mop bucket with or your spray bottle with, if you're using a flathead mop, go ahead and do that now. And now I just want you to look around the room real quick because you're almost done. Just feel really good. You might be a little bit sweaty. You might be a little bit tired, but you got this. We are at the final push. All right. You're just going to do the exact same pattern. You're going to repeat your moves starting at the opposite corner to the entry point of the room. So that way you mop yourself out the door and you don't have to walk over a wet floor surface. And you're going to use the same stroke. You're going to use a W pattern when you're mopping. You're just going to work in the direction of the grain. If you have hardwood floors, if you have tiles, honestly, anything goes. You don't really have to follow that rule, but I do find the W pattern the easiest. So you can work section by section. If you don't want to do a full stroke, you can sort of do a half stroke and then go to the second half of the room, do another half stroke, then move over to the next section, and so on. So you are now just about done cleaning your bedroom. Now, once this is done, you can gather up any laundry that has to be done or those sheets. If you're going to launder those, you can take all of your cleaning products and replace them. You can give your cleaning tools a quick wipe or rinse. You can hang them to dry, whatever you need to do. But just before you leave your room, I want you to look around. I want you to have a sensory experience. I just want you to feel really good about the work that you just did. I want you to take in a deep breath. It probably smells really nice and fresh. You might even want to open your window just to let some fresh air in. You might even want to just plop down on that bed and give yourself a little rest because that would probably feel really good right now. Or you can change and shower and then do that, whatever feels good to you. But I really want you to appreciate the work that you just invested in cleaning this room, because having a clean bedroom is so important to being able to relax and unwind and feel safe and secure and happy and calm when you're at home. If your room is chaotic, it's so hard to feel relaxed, especially at the end of the day. I've had periods of time in my life where I've had things on my bed and it's been really messy, and it's really hard to get a good night's sleep that way. How can you calm down or unwind when you have stuff sitting on your bed? And then you just throw it on the floor and you're like, I'll deal with it tomorrow. And then that pile builds up and builds up and builds up. So you've made some really good effort here today, and your room looks great, and you should be really, really proud. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. I hope that it has helped you. I'm always here for you to coach you through cleaning your bedroom or any other room in your house. You can just check out the YouTube channel and listen to any of these podcasts to help you there along the way. Have a really wonderful rest of your day, and I hope you walk around feeling really proud of yourself. Take good care.